Hello everyone and welcome to the 5 Ways in 5 Days free Summer Series Crafty Workshop hosted by Simon Says Stamp. I'm Yana Smakula and I'm excited to bring you the Sparkle 5 Ways segment of this workshop. Get ready to add beautiful sparkle and shine to your projects in 5 different ways. Let's get started. One of my favorite ways to add sparkle to a card is by using glitter pastes. They are super easy to use, and typically this is something that you would combine with a stencil. Here I have pulled some supplies I want to use for the card I have in mind. I have the Simon Says Stamp FLORA stencil. This is a beautiful, very delicate stencil that is simply perfect for working with all sorts of pastes, including glitter paste. I will be using the Glitz glitter gel from Gina in white, along with the stencil on a sheet of pale pink cardstock, and this is peony color from Hero Arts. Now, whenever you work with a stencil and paste, you need to somehow attach the stencil onto the paper. And the best way to do this is by using a repositionable spray adhesive. I have the Pixie spray. It's fabulous for spraying the back of the stencil to add just the right amount of tack to secure your stencil in place while applying the paste. You might have noticed I also have a stamp set. This is the new Hibiscus Blooms set from Simon Says Stamp, and I plan to use one of the hibiscus flowers from here, color it, add some sparkle to it using a shimmer pen, and then pop it onto my card. Now first, I'm going to spray the back of the FLORA stencil with a Pixie spray adhesive. Instructions on the bottle say to shake well before use and protect your work surface. I have a scrap sheet of paper here. Next, press the nozzle and apply adhesive using a sweep-in motion to lightly cover the stencil, and then let dry for 1 minute. Then press the stencil onto the surface, and you can also reposition the stencil if you need to, and the adhesive is repositionable. Now I can apply the Glitz glitter gel onto my panel. I'm using the Holtz Distress palette knife and adding a generous coat of the gel onto the paper. I'm going slow and I'm spreading the gel onto the paper, covering the entire surface of my panel. You actually don't have to cover the entire panel, you can cover just a section. Perhaps you can add gel in the center and then let it fade out to the sides. You can also use this gel with all sorts of stencils and all sorts of designs, and also use it on different colors of cardstock. I love the look of white on pink, so I used a colored cardstock panel for my background today, but you can also go with white. You can have a white on white design, or you can have a tone on tone look. For example, you can play with a light blue glitter gel on a light blue cardstock panel. That would also look fabulous. Once you're done, carefully remove the stencil and set your panel aside to dry. You also need to wash your stencil and palette knife right away to prevent the gel from hardening on your tools. So make sure you wash them. So this is one way to add sparkle to a card. You can use glitter paste to create a very sparkly background. While my panel is drying, I'm going to work on the hibiscus flower that I want to add to my card. Here I have my Mini Misty stamping tool, and I've placed a panel of Simon Says Stamp 120-pound cardstock inside. I'm going to stamp 1 large hibiscus flower and then 3 leaves, and I'm using Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink for my stamping. Now I know I want to add some shine to this flower with the help of a glitter pen. So I need to make sure I use the type of ink that will not only work with Copic markers, as I will be using Copic markers for my coloring, but also won't run when I apply the shimmer using the glitter pen. And Simon's Intense Black ink is perfect for that. Having stamped the images, I'm going to add some color using my Copic markers. I'm going for a simple flick style coloring method to add color to these, and the colors I'm using are YG67, my dark green, YG17, medium green, and YG03, a light green. Now this video is not about coloring, so I'm not going to focus on this part of the process too much. To color the flowers, I'm using Y17 and YR14 to color the stamen, and then RV09, RV34, and RV11 to color the flower pink. I was in the mood for a vibrant pink hibiscus flower. Now off camera, I used coordinating dies and cut these images out in my die cutting machine. Now I can add some sparkle to the flower. For this, I'm using the Wink of Stella Glitter Clear Brush Tip Marker from Zig. I have a brand new pen here, or brand new marker, and I thought I would show you what you need to do to get it started. First, you need to unscrew the top part, remove the black ring, and then screw the top part back onto the barrel. Next, you need to shake it well to mix the glitter with the liquid and press on the sides of the pen to push the liquid out. There's even a little spot on the side that says push. So press lightly and you'll see the liquid will start to come out of the pen. Now this pen has a little bit of a gold tint to it, making it perfect for this card. So I'm going to use my pen to coat the entire flower with glitter. Now the glitter does come out very strong at first, but as you work it, you'll be able to get a very subtle coat of shimmer or glitter on your project. Now you can use this pen or any other similar glitter pen to add shimmer or glitter to just about anything. It can be a stamped and colored image like I have here. It can be a die cut. It can be a part of a background. Imagine you dry emboss something using an embossing folder and you want to highlight just a part of that background. So this pen would be perfect for that. And here's a close-up. As I tilt the die cut in the light, you can see all of that beautiful shine. I went ahead and I foam mounted my hibiscus onto the background. I did trim the background slightly and then foam mounted it onto an A2 white top folding card base. I also added some white pearls and just a few jewels to dress this card up. So there you have it, 2 ways to add sparkle. 1, using glitter paste with a stencil to make a background, and 2, using a glitter pen to accent a stamped and colored image. I have 3 more ways to add sparkle to show you, and for that, I have another card idea in mind. Now, I love to use loose glitter to accent my projects, and glitter is a fantastic way to add sparkle to any project. For this card, I'm using glitter and mica flakes in 3 different ways to create a very sparkly and sugary card. Now, I want to create a glittery background, as well as 2 little shaker elements for an abstract die-cut background. So first, I need to do some die cutting. Here I have 2 petal dies from the new Petal Power coordinating die set from Simon Says Stamp, and I'm cutting 2 from a panel of sea glass cardstock. The panel is cut to 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, and this will make the front of my card. Next, I want to create a beautiful glittery background with the help of Simon's Unicorn Dust Glitter. Now, this is very pretty glitter, very fine, and it looks almost clear once applied. It adds very beautiful, subtle shine to a project. Now, I want to create a simple background. So for this, I've picked a diagonal striped stencil. It's an older stencil design from Simon, but it is one that I use over and over again because of its simplicity. Now, I've already sprayed the back of this stencil with the Pixie spray, and I can now just attach it onto my panel. Now, there's a product called Tacky Wind Dry Gel Medium, and it's exactly that. Once you apply the gel and once it dries, it becomes tacky to the touch, meaning you can add other products on top. I'm going to use this gel with my stencil to create a tacky diagonal stripe background and then add the unicorn dust glitter on top to create a very subtle glittery background for my project. You can use a glitter paste, but when you use loose glitter and the tacky wind dry gel, you have a slightly different result. The background isn't as glittery and it's a little bit more subtle. Now, this gel dries clear, so once it turns clear, you know it is dry and ready for the next step. While I'm applying the gel, you can see it is white. Like with any paste or gel, you need to make sure to wash your tools with warm water once you're done. I just leave my panel to dry and take my stencil and my palette knife to the sink right away and I get them washed. So it's been about 30 minutes and most of the background is dry. The gel has turned clear. I just have a few more white sections left, so I'm going to give this background a few more minutes to dry. Okay, now this looks dry enough and I think we are ready to add sparkle. I'm going to pour Simon's Unicorn Dust Glitter on top and make the glittery background. It already looks fabulous, and I love the simple look of this background. I know the two negative petal shapes I have on the background look a little bit odd at the moment, but once I get to build my background, you'll see why I had them there to begin with. Now, I like to use a dry brush to sweep any loose or extra glitter away, and as I do that, you can really begin to see this background come to life. The Tacky When Dry Gel is such a fantastic product as it allows you to easily glide glitter or any other loose things, maybe flocking or even foil, onto your projects. Now, I will say that I wouldn't recommend running this panel through your die cutting machine. So if you want to die cut anything from the glittery panel, you need to do the die cutting first, then add the gel and the glitter. Hence why I did my die cutting at the beginning. Otherwise, you run the risk of having the panel ruined, as the pressure from your die cutting machine can press the panel onto the die cutting plate too hard and adhere it, so you won't be able to get it off. And I know this because this is the second panel I've made, so I did mess up the first one. So this is another way to add sparkle to your card making projects, by using a Tacky When Dry Gel and glitter. Now, another way to add sparkle is to make a shaker filled with sparkly elements, and that's where the two die cut openings come into play. I have a sheet of acetate, and I'm going to adhere it from the back of my panel to begin building my shaker. I'm using Simon's dot runner to adhere it, and next I need to add foam adhesive around the edges of the die cut shapes to build the shaker walls. I did that off camera, and now I'm ready to fill my shakers. Now for this, I'm using Simon's Unicorn Dust and Unicorn Confetti. These are fabulous products to add beautiful sparkle to your cards. You can see the difference in size here. One is super fine, and the other one is a little bit bigger, chunkier in size. I have a little spoon from Tonic Studios, and I'm going to add half a spoonful to each die cut window. So half a spoon of unicorn confetti and half a spoon of unicorn dust, just like so. I have already peeled the backing off of my adhesive, and I'm ready to close the shaker with a piece of pale yellow cardstock. The die cut openings will create the look of faux lemons on my card, hence why I'm using a yellow cardstock for the background. Now make sure to press the paper onto the adhesive nicely so that the shaker walls close properly, and ta-da! Our little glittery shakers are ready. Now I did damage my background a little bit because I pressed a little bit too hard and it got slightly adhered onto my grit paper pad. And when I was peeling it off, it got damaged. Now this happened because I'm an impatient person and I did not wait long enough for the Tacky When Dry medium to dry. Had I waited another half an hour, this would not have happened. But I knew I'd be placing other elements on top of this background, so I knew the imperfections wouldn't be visible on the finished card. I did want to show you this mistake on video so you can learn from it and make sure you avoid it when you make your projects. Now, speaking of the other elements for this card, I went ahead and made a sentiment. I stamped one that reads Happy Birthday. It was stamped in VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I heat embossed it in clear embossing powder and cut it out using a coordinating die. I also cut 4 identical blank die cuts. I adhered them all together to add sturdiness and dimension to this die cut. And here's a close-up. I also die cut a bunch of leaves and petals using dies from the Petal Power coordinating die set from Simon Says Stamp. I made each element two-tone by cutting one element in half and adhering onto another one of a different color. Now, I wanted to add some additional sparkle to a few of those die cuts, but I didn't want the sparkle to be so intense as on the background and as intense as in the die cut shakers. So I used Tim Holtz Distress Mica Flakes for these. The Mica Flakes provide a much less intense sparkle while still adding some sparkle to your card. I added a little bit of Simon's tacky glue onto the die cuts. I spread the glue with my finger, and then I just dipped the die cut into the jar with the mica flakes, picking up a little bit of the flakes. And I made sure I only added glue to one side of the die cut, and I didn't cover the entire thing. I just wanted some partial mica coverage on these die cuts. Super easy. So that's yet another way you can add sparkly goodness to your handmade projects. From there, I adhered my die-cut elements onto the background, creating an abstract-looking lemon branch. So I have the yellow lemons and I have the blue and green leaves. I added a happy birthday sentiment and embellished the card with a few colorful jewels. So there you have it, 3 more ways to add sparkle to your card. I have the little shaker windows filled with glitter. I have a diagonal stripe background created with the help of glitter and tacky wind dry gel. And I also have touches of glitter on some of the lemons, making them look like they're dipped in sugar, or maybe they're a little bit wet after the rain and sparkle a little bit from the water droplets catching the light. So there you have it, 5 easy ways to add sparkle to your handmade cards. I hope you found this video useful, and I hope you feel inspired to create. Thanks so much for joining us today. Be sure to check out the other videos in the 5 Ways in 5 Days free summer series crafty workshop hosted by Simon Says Stamp. Thanks for joining me today. Love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye!